before gold coins, before kings stamped their power on metal. There were human hands trading beads, grain, and cloth beside a silent river. Markets rose not from conquest, but from cooperation and trust. In the Indus Valley, the world's first shopkeepers built commerce without noise or pride. Their stalls had no neon signs or royal banners, only woven mats, clay jars, and patient smiles. Trade flowed like the Indus River itself, peaceful, steady, full of life. Here, daily exchange shaped civilization quietly, without recorded speeches or crowns. It was humanity's first gentle economy, simple, fair, and remarkably advanced. Morning began with mist above mud-brick lanes, cool air touching damp clay floors. Shopkeepers arranged pottery, beads, spices, and tools under reed roofs. Bare feet brushed the ground, and soft greetings replaced today's loud bargaining. Nothing rushed. Commerce here moved with the rhythm of sunrise. Here were no royal guards watching the markets, no priests demanding tribute. Instead, vendors trusted neighbors, and buyers trusted hands that crafted with care. A civilization built not on force, but shared purpose and quiet pride. Their economy grew not through domination but balance. Potters worked slowly, shaping soft clay into smooth vessels with circular precision. Bead makers rubbed stones until they shined like dew on leaves. Weavers folded cloth dyed with plants and river mud, still smelling of earth. Skill was currency here, and every item carried hours of patience. The air was filled with simple smells: sesame oil warming in clay lamps, grain steaming, and river breeze carrying hints of fish and wet soil. You could hear the soft clinking of copper blades and shell bracelets. The marketplace was alive, yet peaceful, a heartbeat instead of a drum. People bartered with gentle voices, not raised demands. Grain for cloth, beads for copper tools, milk for salt. Fairness guided every trade. A handshake meant trust, and trust meant survival. Their economy breathed dignity into everyday exchange. Identity came from work, not kingship or conquest. Seals carved with sacred animals marked ownership and pride. A bull for strength, a fish for prosperity, a leaf for seasons of harvest. Every trader's mark was a quiet signature of skill and soul. Women played a central role, selecting beads, tasting spices, examining pots with practiced eyes. Children followed, holding terracotta toy carts and tiny clay animals. Family shaped commerce, not bureaucracy or guards. The market taught life as naturally as a river teaches flow. Their trade reached far beyond their streets. Indus seals have been found in distant Mesopotamian ports. Ox carts and boats carried cotton, grain, beads, and copper across ancient worlds. They were global traders long before ships knew compass or map. Cotton cloth here was among the world's first soft fibers dyed with earth and plant pigments. Fingers twisted threads slowly, each strand carrying human warmth. Drying sheets fluttered like prayer flags along brick walls. This was fashion before fashion, humble, artistic, timeless. Grain sat in baskets, bronze bowls reflected sunrise gold, and tiny clay scoops measured lentils with surprising precision. Tools, not wealth, defined success. Effort, not conquest. Their market was order without oppression. Cube-shaped stone weights sat in neat stacks, perfectly standardized. One weight balanced another. Fairness was engineered, not assumed. They measured trade like they measured life, evenly and honestly. Civilization does not begin with war, sometimes it begins with scales. No gold coins, yet no chaos, pure barter and shared trust. A carved bead or polished stone could hold more value than metal. Time and workmanship set the price, not greed. Trade felt human, not mechanical. Raised platforms lined the streets, perfect for displaying goods, shaded by woven mats that flapped softly in river wind. Shopkeepers sat cross-legged, calm as monks at sunrise. Design and dignity were woven into every brick. Listen closely. Oxen hooves on clay, soft chatter in local tongue, copper scraping stone, water splashing from clay jugs. Markets did not roar, they whispered life. Harmony was their business language. This was civilization without statues of kings. No towering ego, no war murals, no victory screams. Only everyday people shaping history grain by grain. Greatness in simplicity, power in calm. Seals, clay weights, woven baskets, their tools were humble, yet genius. Every object served purpose and honesty. Symmetry and cleanliness ruled streets long before paved roads existed. These were planners, thinkers, doers, not followers. A young bead seller smiles, threading stones that sparkle like river sunrise. Her hands are steady, eyes full of patience and hope. In her craft lives the soul of her people. Every bead is a heartbeat of ancient dignity. If you're still watching, you feel what these markets really were. Not noise and wealth, but quiet mastery and shared life. Stay, because the deeper we go, the more astonishing their world becomes. Real civilization doesn't shout, it breathes. Under simple shade mats woven from reeds, shopkeepers display beads, spices, and polished stones in clay bowls. No bargaining shouts, just quiet conversations and gentle nods. Respect was the currency before currency existed. A man selling copper tools wipes dust from a small blade, running his fingers across its sharp curve with pride. Customers lift tools, feel their weight, examine the shine. Quality spoke louder than sales talk ever could. A clay toy vendor arranges tiny ox carts and animal figures. Children stop, eyes shining, tugging at parents' arms. Laughter mixes with temple bells in the distance. Childhood joy unchanged across 4,000 years. Perfume sellers grind fragrant seeds and flowers by hand, mixing oils in small bronze bowls under warm morning sun. A woman leans in, eyes closed, breathing in gentle sweetness. Beauty rituals lived here long before perfumes had bottles. Grain merchants scoop barley and wheat from reed baskets, weighing portions with cubical stones that never lied. Measurements here were sacred, fairness was survival. Trade was trust, not trickery. Salt traders sit beside rough stone slabs dusted white, breaking crystals and offering pinches to buyers for testing. Salt, more precious than ornaments in certain seasons, shimmered like tiny pearls under Indus sunlight. Fisherfolk arrive from riverbank settlements at dawn, carrying baskets wrapped in wet leaves to keep fish cool. The smell of river air follows them through narrow lanes, a reminder that markets breathe water as much as earth. Potter families will clay into shape with slow rhythm, hands moving like river waves smoothing stones. Stacks of finished pots surround them, brown, red, burnished. Every vessel held both water and human patience. Cloth sellers unfold cotton dyed in earthy reds, deep greens, and blues. Fabric catches light like rippled river water. Fingers run along texture to feel softness and strength. Fashion was born not from luxury but from earth and time. Weavers proudly display patterns inspired by flowing water, grain fields, and animals carved on seals. Art was not separate from daily life, it was woven into it. Beauty lived in usefulness. Though they left no king's portraits or battle hymns, Indus merchants built something greater, quiet prosperity. Their markets thrived not through conquest, but cooperation. Their success whispered instead of screamed. Some traders carried ivory combs, polished like river shells. A luxury not flaunted, simply appreciated and exchanged. Elegance in ancient times did not need display, only admiration and touch. A jeweler strings carnelian beads, glowing like embers in firelight. He cuts each bead with tiny copper drills and powdered sand. Precision without machines, mastery without fame. Craft as devotion. Women sell baskets woven from river reeds, patterns twisting like braided hair and flowing water. Homes across the city store grain, fruit, and spices in them. Utility and art walk hand in hand. Travelers rest beneath shade shelters near the marketplace edges, sharing tales of far-off villages and distant caravan tracks. Stories travel faster than goods and stay longer. Trade spreads language before rulers ever try. A healer sits quietly, selling herbs and crushed roots, bowls filled with neem, turmeric, ginger, and wild leaves. People approach not with urgency, but trust. Health was community knowledge shared hand to hand. Clay tablets marked with mysterious Indus signs rest beside stalls, symbols pressed with seals showing bulls and fish. Names, inventory, blessings? We can only guess. Their writing lives, but its voice remains hidden. Near wells, water sellers fill pitchers for thirsty feet-worn visitors. Cool water glistens as clay cups pass from hand to hand. Hospitality wasn't a service, it was culture. Generosity flowed like the river itself. Even stray dogs dozed beside baskets of grain, trusted not to steal, welcomed as part of life. Harmony between humans, animals, and earth. Rare even today, natural then. Pause for a moment. For 1,500 years ago, people lived cleaner, calmer, more balanced lives than many today. No rush, no noise, no greed, yet thriving. If you're still watching, you carry the patience that built the first markets. As evening approached, shadows stretched long across brick streets. Shopkeepers slowly packed goods into baskets and clay jars, hands moving with gentle routine learned from generations before them. The marketplace did not close with force, it softened, like sunset on water. Mothers called children home, clay toys still warm from play. Stall owners tied reed mats, brushed away dust, smoothed their platforms. Peace filled the air, not because the day ended, but because life here always balanced work with rest. There was no rush to hoard, no desperate hunger for wealth. People lived knowing harmony fed survival better than ambition alone. A society without thrones had still mastered dignity. Their measure of success was not power but peace. As night deepened, oil lamps flickered along quiet lanes, glowing against cool brick walls gently darkened by river breeze. Families sat outside homes, sharing flatbread and milk, discussing crops, weather, and small joys of the day. Even traders from distant lands stayed respectfully silent at dusk, absorbing the calm that settled like silk over the city. Markets did not end with exhaustion but gratitude, a warm tiredness earned, not forced. Inside homes, cotton bedding spread across raised platforms, clay jars sealed with leaves, bronze bowls cleaned and stacked. Order flowed naturally from these streets into these houses, tidiness reflecting minds shaped by discipline and pride. No palace commanded this peace. No decree demanded order. The rhythm came from within people's shared values older than written law. Here, life moved like a disciplined river, not a restless sea. Self-governance existed centuries before empires claimed invention. Musicians played simple flutes near wells, soft melodies merging with crickets and river whispers. Children dozed in parents' laps, lulled by music and moonlight. Culture here lived in everyday breath, not grand monuments. Storytellers arrived sometimes, speaking of buffalo spirits, river gods, and stars guiding farmers through seasons. But in these stories, ordinary life was the hero, not war, not kings. Community was the mythology they worshipped. If you've stayed with this journey, you understand that history is not only battles and rulers. Sometimes the greatest civilizations are the quiet ones, whose strength was kindness and craft, not swords. Dawn returned with mist touching brick streets like silver silk, and markets awakened again, not rushed, not frantic, but like flowers opening to morning light. Cycle, not conquest, built civilization here. Craftsmen whispered blessings before starting work, touching tools that carried stories of fathers and grandfathers. Trade was not business, it was heritage lived each day. Pride rested in hands, not in crowns. The smell of wet clay, roasted grain, fresh water from wells. These scents painted the city more vividly than colors ever could. Civilization begins not with monuments, but with morning chores. This truth, forgotten by many, lived here effortlessly. People here did not shout to prove strength. Their quiet confidence echoed louder than drums of ancient kingdoms. They built cities aligned to stars, drains cleaner than medieval Europe, and markets that ran on trust, not fear. And yet, their language still lies silent in clay. Symbols no one can fully read, voices frozen in seal impressions. Their stories wait not for archaeologists, but for listeners willing to feel history, not just study it. Civilizations fall, rivers shift, bricks crumble, but the values of these traders still breathe in modern hands. Every honest trade, every fair deal, every peaceful community carries a whisper of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Imagine walking there for a moment, bare feet on cool bricks, morning breeze touching your skin, voices greeting softly, beads gently clinking in baskets. You are not a visitor, you are human, as they were. Their markets were not relics. They were dreams of a world built on fairness long before laws existed. In their calm voices and honest waits, they invented civilization not by ruling but by trading. If this journey touched you, stay to explore more forgotten worlds where humanity lived with grace. Subscribe, because here we do not chase empires. We bring back stories of how people truly lived. The Indus Valley did not shout its greatness, it breathed it. Through marketplaces, clay seals, honest trade, and peaceful streets. When we remember them, we honor the quiet builders of human life. History began where hands worked, hearts trusted, and voices stayed gentle.